The United Nations says the conflict has killed more than 10,000 civilians and wounded nearly 20,000 others. Washington correspondent Jackie DeFusco joins us live this morning with more on where this war stands. Jackie, good morning.
Good morning, Leticia. Experts say there is really no end in sight as this war now enters its third year. And now the fate of foreign aid from the United States is unclear. I spoke to one Ukrainian family about the stakes of that support. 2 years ago, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, displacing millions of people, including Ruslan Bondar's family.
In Ukraine, we had the beautiful life, and we make money. We have great jobs. In one moment, everything has changed.
The moment when Russian tanks were rolling towards his home in Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. His son just 2 years old when the family fled to safety.
I don't want to die. I thinking about my family. They need me.
Bondar now rebuilding his life in America, where President Joe Biden is ramping up pressure on Russia. On Friday, announcing more than 500 new sanctions, the largest single round to date.
Failure to support Ukraine in this critical moment will never be forgotten in history. It will be measured, and it will have impact for decades to come.
House Republican leaders are currently blocking a bill that includes more than $60 billion to support Ukraine.
We're going to continue to demand that before we take care of issues all around the world, we take care of our own first.
Critics say the U.S. needs a clear strategy to continue funding the war.
We know there's no strategy. We know there's no plan to do anything other than just to funnel more and more money and more resources.
But experts say the delay in Congress is already hurting Ukraine on the battlefield. Ukraine recently forced to withdraw troops from a key eastern city after its counteroffensive fizzled out.
Their counterattacks are likely getting weaker. They certainly don't have as much artillery ammunition. And over time, that will get worse.
Meanwhile, Bondar worries about his older brother fighting on the front lines and urges Americans to keep supporting Ukraine's cause.
If you not help us, we lose more Ukrainians.
Many also argue that failing to defend Ukraine would have consequences beyond its border, potentially allowing Russian President Vladimir Putin to expand this war into other parts of Europe, which does risk, of course, directly engaging U.S. troops in this conflict if that were to happen. Leticia?
So, Jackie, let's talk about the year ahead because we do have a presidential election in November. How could this impact the war in Ukraine?
Yeah, Leticia, and foreign policy has certainly been a focus in this race. Former President Donald Trump has said that he would quickly negotiate a deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war if he's reelected, but he has been short on specifics when pressed about what that agreement would actually look like. Trump also recently sparked controversy when he said that if NATO allies don't meet their spending commitments, he would not come to their defense if Russia were to attack. And that is a comment that got a serious criticism from both President Joe Biden and Nikki Haley, the former UN ambassador, Trump's only remaining opponent on the Republican side, both of them saying that those comments embolden Putin and even endanger U.S. allies. Leticia, back to you.